Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is our daily NBA show that we've been doing with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Today is Thursday, March 12th. We've got 5 games tonight. Joe Duffy, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Loshak.
All right, Joe. You know what messes me up a little bit about these shows is that I see these, lines on the overnights that I like, and then the next day, day of game, they're like significantly worse, and it just messes with me psychologically. I'm like, well, I liked it at -1, now it's -4. What if it lands on 3? But really, maybe I should make picks on even if the line moves against me on the overnight.
I have a similar thing where I do my own podcast and I'll give out a free pick, and sometimes by the time I do my podcast and we do these videos, they change in the wrong direction. Maybe my podcasts are that powerful.
Yeah, all right. Well, here you go. The one I was on the overnight, I was going to give Washington -1 as my free pick. Now it's Washington -8.5, and that's, of course, because the Grizzlies are sitting Conley, Gasol, and Randolph. I'm not going to make it my free pick. When we see something like that, 3 guys sitting, Washington -8.5, my sense is that Memphis is probably the play now, but that's definitely not going to be my free pick. But what's your take on that line movement in this situation?
I would agree with your sense. I think that you got to realize that when they're going to rest players and they have some injuries, this is where they have some guys who can step up, a rare chance to get some serious playing time. With the line at 8.5, I think the odds makers have over-adjusted. Teams do rally around adversity, and it's not just adversity, as you said. They're also going to rest Zach Randolph, but it is a chance for some guys to prove themselves, and I think, yes, I would agree with you. Maybe I'm even going to make that one of my official free picks, Memphis, because of the lines maker over adjustment.
Well, I liked Washington at -1. That was going to be my free pick, but now I'm all confused as to what I'm going to do. I also kind of liked Houston on the overnight. They were +1. Now they're up to -2. Utah's leading scorer. Utah's been good, but Gordon Hayward has injury issues, and he might be out. That might be a cause for this movement, but if he does play, he could be hobbled by that as well. And, of course, Houston coming off a loss. Now they're on a back-to-back. Solid team, though, and, my sense was that with Hayward banged up, Houston -2 might be still the play. What do you think about that? They are on a back-to-back, though. People look at this and they say, oh, Houston off a loss on a back-to-back on the road. Utah is the play. But my sense is it's Houston.
The fact is that a lot of the public is on Houston. Houston is far and away the #1 public play, and it's a pretty strong public play. As a general rule of thumb, fading the public is usually a good bet. You can't do it blindly because you'd only hit about 52%, but I don't know. I really think because of the contrarian action, if I had to make a pick, and this will not be an official free pick, but I would lean towards Utah.
All right, and then also the Lakers and the Knicks is an interesting game. Lakers now 8-1 against spread over their last 9. So the Lakers have been cashing game in and game out, usually because they're kind of like an underdog. But here, they're a big favorite at -6.5 right now, but maybe that's warranted. The Knicks 4-7-1 against spread over their last 12. They've been bad on the road, and of course, we've seen them getting easily blown out, even by mediocre or subpar teams. So maybe the Lakers, even at -6.5, continue their hot ATS run. What do you think, Joe?
I'm going to go with New York here. The Lakers are only 1-20 at home, and this is against the spread with at most 1 day of rest after a win in which they had an assist-to-turnover ratio of at least 2. Now, that's really corroborating information. I don't like to go by team trends all that much, but the Knicks, they're 4-3 their last 7 against the spread. I think they're finally showing that they're adjusting without Melo Anthony, and that it really is going to be addition by subtraction, at least from a spread standpoint. Not to say that New York is overall a better team, that they're more likely to win straight up without Anthony, but I think that they're getting more points, and Anthony is a little bit overrated, and that's finally starting to show a little bit. Not that I would jump too much on a 4-3 trend by any stretch of the imagination. I know the Lakers are on a pretty good spread streak, but 3 of their recent 4 covers were all by 4 or less, so they're barely covering, and I'm going to go with the New York Knicks here.
All right, and then the other one, the obvious play of the day is Indiana -7 over Milwaukee, right? Indiana just cruising. They're 9-2 against spread over their last 11, and Milwaukee on a back-to-back. They're 4-12 against spread over their last 16. And, Milwaukee with a bad ATS record and on a back-to-back is a nice thing to bet against, but it's mostly just Indiana seems like maybe they're an auto play on right now until further notice. 7 is a high line, but easily eclipsable by them. What do you think about Indiana -7? Obvious, but maybe a good play anyway.
That's true. The Pacers, look, ever since, of course, they lost Paul George for the year and that horrible injury in the World Championships, I think it's easy for the Pacers to sneak under the radar. No one's going to take them all that seriously. But the way they've been playing, they've certainly been playing extremely well. And as I said, sneaking under the radar, it's a fairly small number considering how well they're playing. I'm not going to make it an official free pick, but tough to disagree, I should say, with your logic.
Well, I'm still not sure what I'm going to give for my picks here. Of course, your 4-play picks go at offshoreinsiders.com every day. But with us, you do give us free picks. What's your free selection or selections for us for today, Joe?
Well, one of them, as I said, I will take Memphis because of the odds makers over adjustment, and I look for the guys to rally around and use this chance. You know, emotion in the short term, as I always say, emotion works pretty well in the short term, and I look for some of these players to step up with this ridiculously bloated line, and also the New York Knicks for the reasons that I mentioned.
All right, so Memphis plus 8.5 is the current line on that one, and the Knicks plus 6.5 is the current line on that one. So you're not worried about the Lakers' 8-1 ATS run over the last 9. Maybe they're right now one of these classic late in the season teams that's not a good team, but starting to become a very good bet in March and April.
I think that the Knicks are going to fit into that category where they're not going to win a lot of games straight up, but I think they're going to be a pretty good spread team. And look, you got a Lakers team that's not necessarily all that great, laying a pretty decent number of points. But if you were to ask me, I would say more than likely the Knicks and the Lakers would be pretty good bets down the stretch because they are going to be underrated. No one's going to want to bet them, so they're not going to be public teams. But I do think it's a fairly good spot tonight for the Knicks.
Well, I'm going to give my free pick on that game. I'm actually going to take the over. Right now, the total is 190.5 or 191. Both teams have 4 straight unders, but before that, they had a string of overs, so maybe those recent unders are keeping this total a little bit modest. I'm going to take a shot with the over. Right now, 190.5. What do you think about that one, Joe?
There's no reason for me to disagree on that. I don't really have a strong lean either way.
Okay, those are our free picks. I'm taking over 190.5 in Knicks Lakers. Joe Duffy taking Knicks plus 6.5 and Memphis plus 8.5. What do you have tonight at offshoreinsiders.com, Joe?
A few of my plays already happened. North Carolina was the biggest play early as a wise guy play, but I do have mostly college basketball tonight, especially if you buy by 7 o'clock Eastern time. But make sure you join us Friday for day and night action.
Okay, sounds great, Joe. Talk to you tomorrow.